All right. So who in here has sung before? If you were in a choir or maybe by yourself in the shower, doesn't matter. Has anyone ever sung? Yeah, raise your hand. I don't believe that. I'm pretty sure all of you have sung at least once. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so you all have used this instrument. So whether you play piano or violin or what, does anyone in here play violin? No. Okay. Well, you kind of. Yes.
Me too.
Okay. But so you have a instrument that's built in to your body, and that's your voice. Okay. So that's what we're talking about today. So what I need from everyone else is for your voices to be quiet so you can listen to my voice. Okay. And then if I tell you to use your voice, then you can obviously use your voice. Okay. All right. So first, Micah has an incredible voice as of now, and he can sing very high, and he does it a lot. And so he's going to demonstrate a song. You might have heard it before. Huh?
You know me.
Yes, we do. So I want you to go ahead and demonstrate, and then yeah. Okay, go ahead. Good job. All right. That deserves that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, does anyone know what that song is?
It's called Queen of the Night. That was a Mozart song. It's an opera that a lady sings.
Yeah.
She has a very, very high voice.
And Micah has that high voice right now. Now, chances are that's going to change. But for right now, he gets to enjoy that. All right, now you can go back in the house and help Valerie with hers. Okay. All right. Now, I know it might be fun to try and do it, but let's not practice it right now. You can do that when you're at home. So, okay. All right. Shh, listen. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is how your voice works, okay? So this is a diet. This might look boring, okay? But this is, can you tell what this is?
Your mouth.
Okay, yeah. And then what's this? Okay, so inside, yeah, well, that's, yes, back here, yes. Okay, so when you're singing, you're using all of this, okay? And also when you're talking. But some of this is more specifically when you're singing. And so this is not shown. All right, but listen. So when you breathe, what do you use? There's something. Well, yes, use air. Okay, a part of your body. There's something. Your lungs. Yes, use your lungs. Okay. On top of your lungs is your diaphragm. Does it have? Do you guys know that you have that? Okay. If you didn't, you do. And so when you breathe in, your diaphragm moves down, which gives the lungs more space, okay, and then vice versa. So then the larynx, which is over here, okay, that's your voice, yeah, your voice box, okay? So if you look over here, that's a closer up thing. So your vocal cords, take a wild guess, somebody raise your hand. What does your vocal cords do when you make noise? What happens?
It makes your voice go high or low.
Okay, yes, it does. What specifically? Does it, Jared? Okay, it does allow you to sing. Okay, so what happens actually is there's these two, you see these two things right here?
Yes.
All right, they vibrate back and forth, okay? Now, depending on what you've learned in school so far, okay, do you think that a higher sound, okay, so if you're making a higher sound with your voice, do you think it's going to vibrate faster or slower? There's a lot of mixed answers. Okay, so if you're singing higher, is it going to go faster or slower? Faster. It's going to go faster, yeah. So as you're singing higher or speaking higher, your vocal cords are going to vibrate faster. All right, listen. And then if you're singing lower or talking lower, they're going to vibrate slower, okay? So then that's where all right, you got to listen so you can understand this. So that's what happens here. And then that moves up here. And then what is this? Your tongue is here. What's this? Your mouth. Okay. So when you sing, what do you have to do? What do you have to do when you sing with your mouth? What do you have to do with it?
Open it.
You gotta open it. Yeah. All right. So listen. All right. You have to be quiet. Remember? Okay. So when you're singing, you have to open your mouth, and that allows the sound to come out, okay? Because you can't sing and close your mouth. That's not going to help anything, right? That's humming. Well, we want to sing. So, all right, listen. You'll have lots of opportunities to use your voice in that other class, okay? So for right now, you got to keep it quiet so you know what we're doing, all right? All right, so that is how, so you open your mouth and the sounds come out. And then someone said the tongue. So when we're singing, we're probably going to be using words, right? So just like you talk, you move your tongue all the different ways. You still do that when you're singing, okay? But you get to use different notes. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is breathing and posture. So we kind of already talked about how you breathe. And you breathe in, and then your diaphragm goes down, allows more room for the lungs, okay? But also there's a huge thing for posture, okay? So, David, come here, please. All right, so if you are, here, face them so they can, yeah. All right, so posture and breathing and singing. All right, so your posture is directly connected to your breathing, okay? So if you are slunched over, okay, and it's going to be a lot harder for you to breathe, okay? All right, so if you're like scrunched up in a ball, it's going to be a little harder for you to breathe, whether if you're standing up straight and tall and your shoulders are back, you can have a lot more room to breathe, okay? And the same thing happens when you're singing. So when you're singing, you want to make sure that you're standing up nice and tall and that you have enough room for you to breathe, because you need to breathe to sing, believe it or not. Also, your spinal alignment, okay? Listen, I know this kind of might sound boring, but your neck and your shoulders and your back, they're all connected, okay? There's a bunch of bones and all that. So you want to make sure that you're nice and straight, like what I was saying before, because they're all connected, and that helps you to be able to breathe. Okay, another thing is tension. Who knows what tension is? Do you know what tension is? What's tension?
It's where you want to get attention, like if you're sad, you just want like
Attention. Okay, yes, that's attention. Okay, tension is like tightness, okay? So listen, David, if you're singing and you are like clenching your jaw, some of you, like if you're like really focusing on something and you realize, oh, I'm clenching my jaw or grinding your teeth, like that's like tension, okay? You don't want that when you're singing. You want your jaw and neck to be super relaxed when you're singing, okay? Otherwise, when you're singing, you'll be able to tell that you're super tense, and that's not fun. Okay, so David, is there a way that we can make sure that our jaw is very relaxed?
So the jaw and the tongue are big muscles that help you when you sing. And in order for you to sing properly, you need to make sure that they're relaxed. So if your tongue is not relaxed, then it's going to be harder for you to sing, and you can actually get cramps.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
what's the way?
So you can, back here, you can massage that, and if it feels like it's a little tense, then that means that you're too tense.
Yeah, and you can also do the same thing with your jaw too, to make sure that you're not clenching your jaw on accident. Okay, thank you. One other thing, make sure that your ground, like you want to make sure that your feet are completely on the ground. Don't be on your tiptoes. Don't be like, whatever. Okay, but also a really important thing is make sure you don't lock your knees. So like don't stand like super stiff and tall, because you might pass out and fall over, and that's not fun. Yes, that's blood. Your blood pools, and yeah, it's not fun. So don't do that. So you want to make sure that you're relaxed, even with your legs, but don't, they're not noodles either. So you don't want to be like, oh, okay, stand still, but also don't, make sure that you're not locking your knees, okay? All right, yeah, you can move a little bit, okay? All right, so, listen. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the symphony of your vocal registers, okay? That might not make any sense, but there are different registers of your voice, okay? So, Micah, when he came in here, he was singing very what? When Micah just, very high, okay? Most of you guys probably can't comfortably sing that high, and that's okay, okay? Yeah, we will, yeah. Yep, so the first and probably the easiest way to sing is with your chest voice, okay? So that would be your normal talking voice. All right, listen. So if I'm talking to you like this, and then I start singing in the same thing, everyone put your hand like this and feel. Start talking like hum. Like, do that. Can you feel it vibrating a little bit? Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad. But you should also feel some vibrating when you hum. All right, stop. Good job. Okay, so if you didn't hear vibrating, maybe you weren't singing loud enough or you weren't pressing hard enough. But yeah, so that's the vibrating, okay? So that's your chest voice. So if you ever wonder, if you're ever curious when you're singing, what register am I using? You could find out that way. The second register is your head voice. So if you saw a little puppy or a little baby and you're like, oh, you're so cute, and you're talking like that, that's going to be your head voice. So everyone say something like that. So speak up high like, oh, you're so cute. Say that. There you go. Okay. We're going to pretend that there's a cute animal in here, okay? Even though there's not. All right, listen. All right, now, I want you to do that again. And when I tell you to stop, you got to stop. When I'm going to have you do that again, and I want you to, like, sing like that. So, like, just come up with a little tune. Oh, you're so cute. Okay, try that. Ready? Go. Okay, now do that again. Listen. You got to listen. Okay, do that again. I want you to put your hand on the back of your neck and feel for vibration. Do it again.
Oh, you're so cute.
Could you hear some vibration? All right, stop. Shh, listen. Could you feel a little vibration? Okay, now put your hand where we were with the chest voice again. Now sing, but sing up high. Stop. Shh. Okay, could you feel vibration?
No.
No, because you're not using your chest voice anymore. Now you're using your head voice, okay?
I never put anything.
You never felt anything? Okay, we'll have to work on that. All right, so listen. Oh, no more. Only when I say, okay? So we can get through all this because I have some fun stuff at the end. All right, so then the last register is called falsetto. Micah was singing falsetto. That's way higher. Do you want to demonstrate falsetto?
So falsetto is usually something that a male voice will use. Like you can hear that my voice is a low voice, right? I have a bass voice. I'm actually kind of a low bass. So when I'm singing very low songs, right? So if I need to be able to hit a really high note, I might not be able to do it with my normal voice, right? My chest voice or my head voice. I may not be able to get all the way up there. So we use something called falsetto. So falsetto, it's like a false voice, right? So that's our third voice. And Jensen was actually doing it earlier. He was going, right like that, right? So the falsetto voice is this, right? It's not my normal way of making my vocal cords. It's one little piece of my vocal cords touching together that makes that. And it's a very, very high vibration so that I can sing as high as I want to, right? So like that, so I can sing nice and high. So for singers, they practice this breaking point between their head voice and their falsetto voice. So they'll continue to go up like this. Like that, and they want to make that break so that it's very, very little of a break. I can't really do it that well, but that, or going top down. Oh, you hear that break? Right? Okay. And I kind of go right almost into the chest voice right away, right? So singers, that's what they do all the time. They practice to make sure that that break is very, very small. Okay? So you'll hear some singers singing in falsetto a lot, especially like some tenors will sing like that.
You'll hear it in a little bit. I have a
Especially if they're
video.
doing like quartets, you'll hear
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so, all right, now you got to listen. All right, I know, it's super fun. When you go home, you can totally go to town with it, and your parents will hate me.
I'm going to mention one more thing. When I was at college, there was a guy that was singing a song in an orchestra room, and he sang it so well in his falsetto voice that an instructor came by and thought it was the lady that was supposed to be singing that part, and he came in to say, wow, you're doing great at that piece, and he walked in and saw it was this guy in there singing it. And he was embarrassed. He's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, wow, that was really good. He's like, now we know who can fill in if she ever gets sick.
So it can be very fun, but for the rest of the class, we got to be very quiet so we can listen, and we'll have some more activities that we can practice our voice with. Okay, so next thing is voice care. All right, so just like if you have an instrument, piano, violin, whatever, you have to take care of it, right? So you don't want to beat it up or do anything bad to it, okay? You want to take care of it. So just like your voice. Now, your voice is built in to you, right? So you can't really like clean it or any of that, okay? But there are some things that we can do. All right, so there, one thing is to practice your vocal exercises, which when you go into the other class, you're gonna learn a lot of them and you're gonna be able to practice a lot. Some of those are scales. Have you ever played a scale on the piano? Or, yeah, you've at least heard of it. So you could do that with your voice. Arpeggios, gliding. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because you're gonna get to do all this in a little bit. Okay, so when you do vocal techniques and you practice it, that's gonna help your voice. Kind of like when you do technique for piano, okay? So you learn all these other things and it all comes together and it helps you play beautifully in the end. All right, there's another thing. So rest. Rest is very important. If you're constantly, like we said at the beginning, if you're screaming all the time, you're yelling, you're using your voice, I don't need to hear it right now, I'm sure you've all done it, that's not good for your voice, okay? So you want to be very careful not to do that. Whether you are a vocalist or not, still don't do it. It's not great for your voice either way. Now, sometimes your vocal cords get worn out, okay? You can't tell, I'm actually like barely holding on to my voice right now. So what's the good thing to do is to rest your voice and not use it a lot, which I'm not really doing right now. But you need to give it a break sometimes too, okay? Just like other muscles in your body. Also, hydration. Super important. Water, 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 water. Okay? You should drink lots of water for lots of reasons, but especially your voice, okay? So that's kind of a way to clean your voice too. And you want to make sure that it's nice and lubricated so when you do sing, it's not all scratchy, okay? So drinking water, very, very important. Another thing is sleep. Sleep is good, right? So yeah. So you want to make sure that you're sleeping because when you're sleeping, your vocal cords are also resting and they're repairing. Okay. So just like everything. All right. So those are good health habits to have in place either way. Sleep, drink water, rest. Okay. And also days off. So if you're like doing a lot of singing, have a day off where you don't sing to make sure that your vocal cords can rest and repair themselves if they need to. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is emotion when you're singing and then musicality. So yes, funny picture. While you're singing, music in general, okay, music is like a language. It is a language, okay? And you can communicate a lot through that. And we've had classes where we've talked about what you can communicate. If you guys remember, we had those girls from Ireland and we talked about how you could play certain ways and it brings out a different emotion, okay? If you remember that, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of different emotions that can be produced through piano, violin, any instrument, and then also your voice, okay? Music. So there's joy, so happiness, right? So if you're singing an open, bright tone and probably like a faster pace, if it's really slow and minor, do you think that's going to be very joyful? No. Now, if you're trying to communicate a sad or mourning type of if you're trying to communicate that, then absolutely, okay? So there's also sadness, like I said, dynamics, huge role, slower tempo, okay? And then also anger. Anger, you can communicate that. So that's louder, okay, and intense, okay? And that's probably not the greatest thing for your voice. So you don't want to just constantly sing like that. Calm is smooth, okay? Smooth phrasing and a more like normal, relaxed tempo. Okay, so those are some different ways of emotion. Now, I believe, yes. All right, we have a video. All right, this, if you've ever watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, has anyone watched that? Okay, so you might recognize the song. So this is I want you to watch this guy. He uses a lot of really good techniques, okay? He's professional. He sings all the time. That's what he does, okay? And he sings very well. And I want you to watch, take a guess. What kind of emotion do you think that this song is going to try and portray?
Happiness.
Happiness. Okay, it's candy. Okay, so obviously happy, joy. All right, so let's take a wild guess. Do you think the tempo is going to be faster or slower? On the faster end. Okay, do you think it's going to, do you think he's going to be singing really like, is it like is it going to be major or minor? Is it going to sound happy or is it going to sound sad?
Happy.
Happy. Okay, so and also watch a good way to, and you can already see. Okay, so when you're playing an instrument, it's a little easier to get the point across. When you're singing, you want to make sure that you look happy. And if you're singing a sad song, you want to look a little more sad. Okay, so your face makes a huge difference. I want you to watch his face. He makes a lot of funny faces, especially in this one. So you'll have to watch for that. And there might be like a surprise puppy that comes. I can't remember. But anyway, all right, ready?
Cover it in chocolate and a miracle or two. Who can do it? The Candyman can do it. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love, makes the world taste Soak it in the sun and make a strawberry lemon pie. Who can do it? The Candyman can do it. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love, makes the world taste good. Willy Wonka makes everything he bakes satisfying and delicious. Talk about your childhood wishes. You can even eat the dishes tomorrow. Dip it in a dream. Separate the sorrow and collect all the cream.
You see the puppy?
The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love, makes the world taste good. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good.
All right, so did you see how he used his facial expressions? And you did hear on that one, about halfway through, it got slower, right? And that's because he was trying to emphasize specific words, okay? And that's a whole other thing we could take a long time and talk about. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is harmonizing voices. Okay, so if you've ever heard a choir sing or been a part of a choir, there's different parts, and you put them all together, and it makes like a chord, and it sounds really pretty together, okay? Because our voice, so like if you're playing piano, right, you can put two notes and play them at the same time. You can do more than that. You can play lots of notes and play them all at the same time, and it sounds really nicely put together. Has anyone put more than one note together? You played a chord, 3 notes at a time, more than that, okay? Now, with your voice, you normally cannot. I met someone who could sing 2 notes at a time, and she sung this summer, and it was amazing. Occasionally, if I'm sick, I can do it, but that's not usually normal, okay? You can mainly just sing 1 note at a time, right? Does anyone here, can you guys sing more than 1 note at a time?
I don't know what that means.
Playing 2 notes, singing 2 notes, not back and forth. Yeah, not normally. This one girl that I met this summer, she could do it very well and sing full songs. Okay, listen. So because your voice can't, listen, I can't hear. Okay. You're going to need to put more people together, okay? So in a choir, you have lots of people, okay? You can have up to like, 10, there's like 1,000 people choir, okay? And so you put all these different parts together Could you hear in this song we just listened to? It was one guy, but he duplicated himself. He was singing a lot of different parts. Could you hear that? And some of the parts, he wasn't actually singing words. He was kind of doing this own thing, okay? There was no instruments. It was all his voice, okay? This next video I'm going to show you is a bunch of different people, okay? They recorded themselves, put it together. I think it was during COVID, so that's why they're not in person. But they took videos of each other, and then they put it together. And if you listen, there's a lot of different parts going on. And it's really cool to listen to because all these voices are on all these different registers, and they all come together, and it sounds super pretty, okay? So that's what we're going to listen to next, all right? And this one's a lot, it's a lullaby, okay? What's a lullaby? Raise your hand if you know what a lullaby is.
Everybody knows.
Let's see. Oh, wait, you already answered. Kira? Yeah, it puts you to sleep, okay? So no one go to sleep because we have to go to another class and eat popsicles afterwards. But that's what this is for. So if we think, okay, it's a lullaby, think in your head, what kind of things, like as far as major, minor, slow, fast, what are we thinking? Raise your hand if you have any ideas. Ivan? It's going to be slower, yeah. Kira? Probably minor. It's not going to be fast, it's going to be slow. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to this. And oh, one more thing, dynamics, loud and soft. Do you think it's going to be loud or do you think it's going to be more soft? Soft, yeah, okay, soft. All right, let's go ahead and listen to this.
sleep.
I did? All right. So that is the end of this class. And now you're going to go to the next class, and you're going to actually be able to practice some of the techniques we talked about. And you're going to be able to sing a lot more. Okay? Yeah. It was. It absolutely was. That college and church, when they sing, it's really, really, they do a really, really good job. It's amazing to listen to. Yeah. So yes, when you hear it out, yeah, it's very nice to listen to.
All right, so I'm gonna go over a few things. Okay, we want to be quiet. So in order for me to get through all my material, I'm gonna need you to be quiet. We will have some question time, so if you have a question, just hold it till the end. Okay? Or whenever I say if you have a question, you know, if I announce it's a question time. Okay, so we are going to talk about what today? Okay, raise your hand if you know. Ziva. Not Ziva. We have a Ziva. Zori. Sorry. I have 160 people after me. So I'm sorry. What is it? Singing. Yes, singing. Were you going to say that too? Singing, yes. Or your voice, things like that. Do you have a serious answer? Okay. All right, so we're going to first cover posture, because posture is very important for like everything you do, right? Even sitting at a desk, posture is important. Walking around, posture is also important for that. So when we're singing, we want our feet to be shoulder length apart, and we want one of our feet to be slightly in front of the other. So everyone stand up and try that. So stand up and put one foot slightly in front of the other. It doesn't matter which one. Do it correctly, please. And you want your shoulders to match up with where your feet are. Okay? We don't want to lock our knees. We want our knees to be slightly bent, not a ton, just a little bit. Because if you have your knees locked up, you're going to probably fall. So
like this or no?
Yeah, that maybe a little bit less, but yes, that's pretty good. Okay, you want to be standing nice and straight. You don't want to be bent over like this. Okay, nice and straight. And you want your shoulders to be high. Okay, so very good. You're going to pretend that your head is balancing. Okay, Micah, you're going to pretend that your head is kind of like a bowl balancing on a pencil. It sounds silly, but basically the idea is you don't want your head and your neck to be tense. You want it to be relaxed. So good job. You can have a seat. You all did very well with that. Okay, here's some relaxation techniques, because just like piano, are your wrists, or even violin, are your wrists supposed to be tense when you're playing, or your fingers? Is it easy to play when you're super tense?
Unless you wanna faint from overexertion, though.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Never get hung.
Yeah, so, all right, you can put your hands down. He answered it. So, shh. All right, make sure you're quiet. So we want to be relaxed. So when we are singing, we want to release tension. So there's some things that some singers do to help make sure they're relaxed. They might sound a little bit silly, but this is it actually works, and you can try it with me. So you want to massage your face. So just like that, you massage the muscles in your face. And another thing they do, this is really silly, but they stick their tongue out towards the bottom of their lip. That's also relaxing your singing muscles. Okay? And then you're going to relax your neck by moving it gently from side to side, because everything's connected. This is helping. Okay? And you're also, so your larynx that helps you sing, your larynx is right here. So you can gently move that. Now don't be rough with it. Remember, your voice is a very fragile instrument. You can carry it with you. That's the cool thing about when you sing. Okay? And then you're going to also grab your chin and move it gently side to side. And it might seem a little silly, but those things can help you make sure you're relaxed. Okay, now we're going to talk about breathing. Breathing is important for you to stay alive, right?
Yeah.
It's also important for you to sing. You have to know the correct way to breathe when you're singing, or you won't sound very good. So here are some people do breathing exercises. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But breathing correctly is crucial for healthy singing. Okay, so here's an exercise. You can drop your jaw and breathe in. If you feel a cool spot in the back of your throat, you're doing it correctly. If you can't, you're not doing it correctly. So that's one thing you can do to check if you're breathing correctly while you're singing. Okay, there is some proper support you need for singing. You need to make sure that you're inhaling and exhaling properly. Okay, so here's one thing you can do. You can pretend you're breathing through a straw. You're going to direct your focus to one thing, not another person, please. And you are going to just breathe out. You can pretend you have a straw even. And you're just gonna breathe out, not like, but very little bit. You're gonna have your mouth open just a little bit, just like you're breathing through a straw. Okay, your shoulders should not move. If your shoulders are moving like this when you're doing it wrong. Your shoulders should stay still while you do. You should use the muscles down here and not up here, okay? Here's something, if you ever see a baby breathing, their tummy moves up and down, doesn't it? I don't know if you've ever watched a baby breathe. Right, their diaphragm. So that's kind of what you want to think about when you're singing. When you breathe in, your lungs fill with air and it pushes your diaphragm down, which means your stomach goes out. But when you're breathing out, your lungs get smaller because the air is leaving them and the diaphragm goes back up. So your belly goes out when you're breathing in and in when you're breathing out because of the air and the diaphragm moving. One good thing that some singers do is they will swim. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but swimming is beneficial for cardio. What is cardio connected to? Yes. Working out, yes. And yes. Your heart, right. It's a cardio exercise, and it can also help with breath control practice, because when you're swimming, a lot of times you go underwater and you have to hold your breath. So there are breathing exercises that swimmers use that can also help you with singing. All right, we're going to talk about phonation. Does anyone know what phonation is?
Yeah.
You do? Really? What is it?
Mash.
Do you know?
Mash.
Okay, I'm going to explain it. So, phonation, listen, phonation is humming. Okay, you can practice phonation by humming. It's not necessarily just humming, but I'm going to simplify it. It's kind of like humming. So, some things that humming can help you with for singing is it helps develop your vocal control and resonance. So, everyone hum. I should hear everyone doing it. Lower. You can't use your phonation when you're that high. Lower. There you go. All right, everyone stop. That is how you practice phonation. Can you have a seat, please? Thank you. Okay, now we're going to talk about hypertension. Does anyone know what hypertension is? Yes. Serious answer, please.
When you're, I think the answer is when you are very, very tense.
Right, yes, that's a good answer. Yes.
Is it this?
No.
Okay, that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about vocal. But yes, okay. All right, I'm gonna tell you. It's okay. Yes, do you need something? Okay, we're not doing peekaboo right now. We're talking about singing. All right, so hypertension is when you're singing a part. Well, it's caused by singing a part that is not assigned to you. So if you have a really low voice, raise your hand if you think you have a lower voice. Okay, a lot of the young men in here have a lower voice. Raise your hand if you can sing high and it's not hard. My brother can. He does not develop a low voice yet. Okay, maybe you can do both. But if you naturally talk really low, don't try to sing really high because that's going to mess up your voice and it's going to cause hypertension and you're going to ruin your voice. And if you can sing really high, don't try to sing really low all the time because that's going to also cause hypertension. So you need to stick to your assigned vocal parts for harmony and balance. Yes, do you have a question?
What if you sing in the off or
That's a little different. Okay, yes.
When we feel like we have to get the air out, do we have to? Does it help that with singing or get the when you're
You can practice that for yes. Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep talking now. So here are some things that you might think about your singing ability. Raise your hand if you think you can sing pretty well. It's not hard for you. You enjoy it. Okay. Shh. I shouldn't hear talking. This is just raising your hand. Shh. Okay. I got it. Now raise your hand if you don't think you're very good at singing. And that's okay if you don't. Some people don't think they're good at singing. I'm going to tell you why you might not think you're good at singing and how to help you. All right. So listen carefully. Sometimes people can't sing because they actually can't sing. Some people are born with a physical impairment where they really can't sing. They can't talk, they can't sing, and that's okay. There's nothing really you can do about it unless doctors can do something about it. So some children may have physical challenges that affect their singing ability, and they just can't sing, and they can't do much about it.
Teacher,
Yes?
I've got a graph right here.
I'm very sorry to hear about that. Okay, so here's another thing that some people don't sing because of. They might feel embarrassed, or they might not have very much confidence. They might have fear of judgment and a lack of confidence, and that really discourages them from singing. Sometimes it's from a traumatizing experience, like you got on stage and you were singing and you got laughed at, or people made fun of you afterwards, even if you did a really good job, some people can still make fun of you, and that might make you not enjoy singing very much. Another thing is that you may struggle with pitch matching. For example, Micah, I'm going to use you for this. If I play this note, I want you to match it. Okay? Now, I want you to do it wrong. So I'm going to play a note and you sing a completely different note. Right. So some people cannot match a note. Micah can, but some people can't. And they need to work on that. Can you please have a seat? Or have you ever met someone where they talk like this all the time and their voice never changes and it's really annoying?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think any of you talk like that. Yeah, it is called monotone, yeah. Some people have a monotone voice and they can talk correctly, but they don't. And so when they sing, they just sing like this and it doesn't sound good. Right?
So that's like, you just sound like a robot from the future or something.
We don't want to sound like a robot. Erica. Alright, so it is important to understand that singing is a skill that can be developed with practice, guidance, and a positive mindset. By providing encouragement and the right training, individuals can overcome these hurdles and discover the joy of expressing themselves through singing. So now we are going to talk about some things you can do to make sure your body is ready to sing. And I do have some candy up here, so if I see that you're doing the right thing and that if I ask you to do something, you're doing it, I'm going to be watching you, and I'm going to have either Micah or Erica hand some candy out to you. Okay, so make sure you're following what I'm doing. Okay, here's some warm-ups that singers can do. They can energize their body by stretching. So everyone stand up. You're going to stretch your body. Please be careful not to hit your neighbor.
Okay.
You're going to shake your hands and your feet. So one by one, please, with your feet so you don't fall over. Okay, correctly, we aren't moving that sporadically. We're just doing it gently. Okay, now you can be still. We're going to go over some lip trills. So lip trills, kind of pretend you're playing with a car. No, we're not spinning. We're not spinning. If you can't do it without spinning, you don't need to do it. You can practice it at home. All right, good. And we'll stop. Okay, now we're going to go over some... Okay.
And I think that's how you practice with playing brass instruments, I think.
I don't play brass instruments, but I believe so. Okay, now we're going to talk about... so it's called an octave jump. So I'm going to show you what an octave is. A lot of you already know this. Turn around, please, Jay. Okay, so here's an octave. It's when you go from one note to the same note but higher. So it's an an 8-note jump. So we're gonna go ha ha ha. Can you try that? Ha ha ha. Okay, and then we're gonna go down. Ha ha. Can you repeat that? Ha ha ha. Correctly. Ha. Okay, so those are some octave jumps. Some people can do that to help stretch their voice. Okay, next we're going to go hi ho, come to the fair. So I'm going to do it and you're going to repeat after me. Hi ho, come to the fair. Hi ho, come to the fair. Okay, hi ho, come to the fair. 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 Good. Okay, I'm just double checking my time. Okay. All right, so that's another exercise you can do. Another one is me, may, my, mo, moo. Have any of you ever heard of me, may, my, mo, moo? Pretty common, yep. So we're going to start, let's see. Me, may, my, mo, moo. 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 Yeah, Samuel knows because every week at church we have a kids choir and he does these exercises and so does Micah. They do it every week, so they're very familiar with these. Okay, and then we're going to talk about tonal rhythms. I want to make sure I don't mix these two because I have two. Okay, so I'm going to go, here is my rhythm, repeat after me. And then I'm going to say a rhythm and you're going to copy, okay? Here is my rhythm, repeat after me. Ba, ba. Ba, ba. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba. Ba, ba. Do, do. Do, do. Do, they, do, they. Do, they, do, they. Do, do, they. Do, do, they. Do, do, they. Do, do, they. Good. Okay, and, oh, I forget the last one. Let me think for a second. I get the two mixed up. What's the rhythm one? I always forget that until I start.
As if the
Right, bum.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna do more of a rhythm one. So bum bum. Bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Bum bum. Bum bum. Good. Okay, you can have a seat. All right. Does anyone have any questions so far about what we've been talking about? Serious question only, please.
Yeah,
Do you have a serious one?
Yes, I
Okay.
actually do. Does water help with your vocals as well?
Yes, that is a really, really good question. Okay, put your hands down for just a second. I'm going to ask, I'm going to answer his question, so put your hand down so it doesn't get tired, and then you can ask yours in a second. Okay, so water is very important for singing as well as just everyday life. If you're not drinking water, a lot of problems can happen because of that. But with your voice, it can help hydrate your vocal cords. So if you've not drank water before you sing, like a few hours before you sing, if you drink right before, it really won't help very much. But if you drink it several hours before, it's going to help you with your singing. You might notice if you don't drink, your voice might become hoarse. Do you ever wake up in the morning and your throat kind of feels scratchy and dry? Sometimes it's because you're sick, sometimes it's from allergies, but sometimes it's because you haven't drinking enough water. So yes, drinking water is very important. If you're ever going to sing, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, like 4 or 5 hours before, or it won't help you. Okay, next question, Zori.
If you're trying to sing really high, do you use only helium help?
No, people don't use helium unless they're having fun. So, like having fun with singing, like if you're just trying to goof off. Listen, I'm not done. So there are actually two for singing high. That's called falsetto. So Micah has a song that he wants to sing for you. It's kind of silly, but make sure you're quiet so that you guys can hear it. He's going to use something called a falsetto. When people sing really high, they use their falsetto voice, and Micah's going to show you what that is. Thank you, Micah. So, that's using your falsetto. He can sing really high right now. When he gets older, he probably won't be able to sing that high. But a lot of little kids can sing very, very high. It kind of sounds like screaming, but it's using your falsetto voice. Okay, there's also something called your chest voice. Listen up, please, because I have some candy waiting to be handed out. There's something called your chest voice and your head voice. Does anyone think they know the difference?
Nope.
You sing from your chest and you sing from your head.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Yes.
Head is how you hear it, just how you actually say it.
That is very good. Yes, I think you have the right idea. So when you're talking, you're using your chest voice. But when you're okay, also put your hand here. If you can feel a vibration, like everyone say a few words. Okay, can you feel it vibrating?
Yes.
Yes. If you're singing, okay, now everyone sing a higher note. Singing shouldn't sound like that. Singing is not how we get people. Stop. Okay, when I say to stop, everyone needs to stop so that we can move on. Okay, if you can still feel that vibration, you're still using your chest voice. Listen. If you're singing correctly, you will not be able to feel a vibration. You will be using your head voice. Using your head voice, you're using your diaphragm correctly. Okay, so we are all going to sing a song together. So everyone stand up.
Oh no, it's like
Do you guys know the song Old MacDonald?
Yeah.
Okay, well if you don't, you can
I'm
listen.
just kidding. I know.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we're gonna sing it together. Please sing correctly if you're singing. Listen, if you're singing silly, I won't like it very much. I want everyone to sing well. Try to use the things we learned. Try to have good posture. Make sure you're standing up nice and straight. Got one foot in front of the other. Okay, when you relax. And we're gonna sing Old MacDonald. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O. With an oink oink here and an oink oink there, here an oink, there an oink, everywhere an oink oink. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Good. So Right, you sing in a different note than anyone else, but did it still sound good with the melody? It did. So that is called harmony. Okay, everyone have a seat. I'm going to show you what harmony is. All right, listen up, please. So I'm going to play Old MacDonald. Okay, and then if you were to play a different note with it that still sounds good, it might sound something like this. That's harmony. And when you're playing the piano, you play chords, right? You play like 2, 3 notes, maybe even 4 at a time. That, you're adding harmony to it. So it's the same idea. You can also use harmony when singing. If you have 4 voices, then you can hit 4 different notes, and you can make complete chords with different voices. And that's the neat thing about singing. So, why is singing so unique compared to other instruments? Think of something that's so unique about singing versus maybe the piano or the violin. Yes, Olivia.
The singing is coming from your own voice.
Right. Yes. Can you, if you're, let's say for some reason you can't sing anymore, listen. Is it something where you can just go to the store and get another voice, like you might be able to do with piano or violin?
You can't.
Well, you can't go and just get a new voice from Walmart, right? Your voice is very valuable. If you harm your voice by I don't know, not singing correctly or straining your voice or hypertension, we talked about all those things, you're not going to get another voice. You may be able to have surgeries and things to help you, but those are no fun to go through. So you need to make sure if you're going to sing, you're going to do it correctly, because you can hurt your voice if you don't do it correctly. How many of you have sung in front of people before, whether it be a concert, recital, something like that? Okay, so lots of you. Did any of you have a bad experience with it? Or did you have a good experience? You had a bad experience? Did anyone make fun of you? Or did you just not feel very confident? Or you think you could have done better?
Everyone's always making fun of someone.
Right. So, okay. So, sometimes you're going to be made fun of, and that's not okay. But we need to remember that we need to just, it's okay. Some people make fun of you because they don't have what you have, and they're sad about that. So they decide they want to make you feel bad because you have something they don't have. Maybe they can't sing, and so when you go up there and you sing very beautifully, or very nicely, if you're a guy, they might get jealous. And they might make fun of you because they can't sing like you. Okay, so don't always think it's because you're a bad singer. Sometimes they might be jealous of you. And if you are a bad singer, which I don't think any of you are, I didn't hear anyone singing badly. But if you think you're a bad singer, you can work on these exercises. You could even start taking voice lessons. I know of one guy, he was told by his parents that he couldn't sing. So his mom brought him to a teacher and told the teacher in front of him, he can't sing. He sings horribly. Would you be sad if your parents said something like that?
Yes.
No. Well, a normal person would be. So he was kind of upset about that, but the teacher decided, even though his mom says he can't sing, I'm still going to try and help him learn to sing. And she did, and he turned out to be one of the best singers. So, no, it's actually no celebrity, but he became one of the best singers where he was. He's just not famous. So, he started out not being able to sing very well, but he took lessons and he worked on it and he got better. Just like piano, right? It's practice, right? So just because you can't sing right now, doesn't mean you can't sing later. Just because you can't play piano very well right now, doesn't mean you can't later. It takes practice, just like anything. Any other questions? I saw a hand back here. Do you have a question or not anymore? Okay. Do you have a question?
Does water make you hydrate?
Does water make you hydrated? Yes, it does.
Yes.
Yep. Yes. What is your question? Do you have one? No. Okay. Gabby, what's your question? Does breathing help you? Yes, we just talked about that. Remember, when you breathe correctly, you can sing correctly. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, we did that.
When can we get to the food part?
Food part's at the end. I'm sorry. I can't make it any sooner. All right. Yes, do you have another question?
The joke is now perfect.
I'm not sure what you said. Maybe you can ask me later.
Two.
Cranberry juice.
Some drinks can make you less hydrated because like coffee's that way.
Salt.
Yeah, it makes you less hydrated. Even though it's a drink, doesn't mean it makes you hydrated. So that's why water's important, and electrolytes can help too. Yes. Oh yeah.
If I chug water a day before I sing, will I be like Beyonce the next day?
No.
No.
Because you're a guy and you're not a girl.
Cause what?
Because you're a guy and Beyonce is a girl. And I don't even listen to her. Okay. Micah, let's not touch that. Alright. So, I'm just gonna, yes, do you have serious questions?
No.
Okay. Then let's not ask it. Alright. I'm gonna do my conclusion and then we're gonna have a little bit of time until we go to the next class, so I'm gonna hand out some candy, okay?
Yeah.
So, this is our conclusion. So listen please. In the realm of singing. I know, that's a big word. Overcoming self-doubt, so thinking that you can't sing well, and nurturing confidence, knowing that you can sing well if you work at it, is important. Addressing beliefs about your singing ability, so if you don't think you can sing well, talking about it, working on it, especially when you're a kid, can help you when you're an adult with singing. If you notice that you're struggling maybe physically with singing, that's okay. I don't think any of you would struggle with that. Some people just can't sing because of something that's not formed correctly in their throat. My brother Samuel, half of the muscles in his throat are not, well, like down here, they're not really made, they're not very strong. So one day he's gonna have surgery for that, but he can still sing, which is very nice. He loves singing. He goes up with our children's choir at church, and he's one of the loudest ones there. He doesn't always hit the right note, but he tries, and he's confident, and that's important. Yes, Micah is very good at singing. Okay, so we have some candy we're gonna hand out. So Erica, tell me some people you saw that were sitting well and were listening. I don't know, it might be all of them. I don't know. You were the one watching.
Yeah,
You were watching too?
there's
Yes, you could easy candy. Good job, Lily. Erica, if you want to have Micah, he wanted to help hand some out. So just tell him to hand it to. Go. Yep. You go that way, okay? Oh, there's candy. Yes. Okay. Oh, why shouldn't you eat a bunch of food right before you're gonna sing?
Because it's gonna be nasty. You're gonna puke everywhere.
But why would something like that happen? Or why did you have heartburn? Because your stomach fills up with food and it pushes your diaphragm up into your lungs, and then you can't breathe as well when you're singing.
Yeah.
Because you need so much oxygen when you're singing, it can be harmful.